Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast, Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out. See what we're all about. Go get you something cool there, like a hat, a shirt, something like that. But help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Also, big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They're out there doing some amazing things. I know you know something about them, but go and check out the website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, I'm back. I'm trying to deal with my dog here. He's trying to sit on my lap. I apologize. Let me get situated here. I got the crew. I got Fantom with us as well. We'll just go ahead and go round robin real quick, see how everybody's doing. We'll start with Fantom. For those that don't know him, you've probably seen on my Facebook page or something of that nature. I've been tagging him and he's been tagging me. Artist, does some extraordinary work, Marine motivator. So Fantom, how you doing, man?
I'm outstanding, brother. I sure do appreciate being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you decided to come in and check it out. Do one more, and then we're going to talk about your artwork a little bit later and what you got going on. So I hope you're prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very kind of you guys. I appreciate you having me out.
Absolutely. Ryan, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing excellent. And by the way, I'd just like to say that it is a 3-to-2 ratio. The overabundance of testosterone leads to this baldness, and there it is. So that's what's up, baby. It's a good day to be
bald is beautiful. Bald is beautiful. I like it. Mark, how you been doing?
It's outstanding here in Southern California, except for the politics, prices, and politicians.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love it. Oh man, Mike.
Yep.
How you?
Did I come in clear, or am I already?
No,
being,
hey, you're great right now. Okay. Give it a minute or two. Somebody will get right on there.
Just stop talking, Mark. Just stop talking.
Quit while you're ahead.
Just smiling.
Mike, how you doing?
No, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm commenting on this, man. I was thinking that when I first logged in, I was like, dang, I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah.
I had a customer the other day we haven't had for a couple of years, and we got him back, and I was down there this week, and
you can have to go somewhere else.
I didn't have my hat on like usual because it's been hot and humid here in Southwest Georgia, and I had my hat off. I had it on. I went out in the truck, took it off, had to get something, and tossed it in the truck, and I was drinking some water, went back in. He goes, "Man, have you always been bald?" I said, the majority of my adult life, yeah. He goes, "That doesn't bother you?" I was like, "Does it bother you?"
Why would it bother you?
Well, I didn't even answer it. I said, I asked him, I was like, "Does it bother you?" And he goes,
"Yeah."
No, not at all. I was like, well, I looked at him, I said, "D, why the hell did you ask me, have you always been bald?" And he goes, "I've just never seen you without a hat on." I was like, yeah, because when I always wear a hat because anytime I'm working on something, I end up standing up and cracking my head. I got more scars on my head than I know what to do with.
Yeah.
And, he was like, but as soon as I said, "Does it bother you?" He's like, no, that's not what I meant. Okay.
Yeah, he got some of that Marine Corps spice from you a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, I've been bald the majority
of my
life.
Curtain thing going.
Yeah, there's some there, but all this is just like If I let it grow out, it'd be like peach fuzz. I keep telling my wife I'm gonna let all this grow out, and I'm just gonna do the
Nice, a giant comb over.
Sit there and do that. No, I can't.
I always threaten to grow the Carlin, man. Just the sides.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right out the back. And just talk.
Yeah, the problem with me is
yeah.
I have no problem with being bald. It doesn't bother me. I don't care what anybody thinks. But if I grew that out, I'd be so self-conscious. I'd be like, nah, I can't.
You gotta own it, man.
See those cats wearing the hat. Yeah.
You just got to go for it and own it, and hey, it's all good then.
But I mean, I had that, I had the whole goatee, and it was down to here, and then I shaved it all off, and I had the mustache, and everybody was messing with me. They're like, "Was your mustache always that dark?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, yeah.
But this was all gray. And I'm like, "Yeah, well, this took away from that." So all of a sudden, when I had this was gone, this was.
It was considerably darker.
I
than
promise
what we
you,
were.
there was no just for man added to that. That was all natural. It was just the way it was.
Oh, I love it. Well, Fantom, let's kind of talk.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of your artwork and stuff. So, kind of give everybody a lowdown again about kind of what you're doing and what you got there.
Yeah. So a quick throat clearing. Obviously, I'm Don Howell. I'm a Marine. I super proud of that fact. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I served as a mechanical engineer. That's where I got my first degree. And so I did some time doing that. I've kind of done artwork my whole life. I think when you join the Marine Corps, you always want to make a spot. You don't know, what your little legacy is going to be. And so I would have never imagined it would be artwork. And so, when I realized that the money I was making in mechanical engineering and the great life that it looked like from the outside and all the things that I really had wanted, like, money, I had a trophy wife, car, house, like the things that I thought were important. And man, they just weren't, And so I turned it all in, man. I told my wife, I was like, look, I love you, but I've got to find the real life that I'm supposed to be living, and this isn't it. And so that was a really hard thing. I basically, traded riches in for rags and went down to Houston and started all over. And so that journey has kind of led me to this spot, and now it's kind of wild. We got an invite to go to a change of command ceremony, and I was the first Marine in history to ever paint a birthday ball live, and something you wouldn't expect to happen. That you wouldn't expect that would be the thing you do for the Corps that would matter the most. So anyway, now what we do a ton of work with any military organization. We do obviously work for the Marine Corps headquarters and some other stuff like that. But I've painted for the Army, we've done a piece for Arlington in Washington D.C. for the funeral director out there, and NASA and some other stuff. And now, we do commissioned artwork that you would expect to pay gobs of money for and make it affordable for anybody, so that a Lance Corporal could buy our pieces, And so I love the idea. We don't do any prints, so like if you have one, you have the only one on the planet that's made by us, and so we like. Yeah. So they're numbered on the back, and I don't like to brag about how prolific we are, but we are in our second 1,000 paintings sold, and so it's been working out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a devil dog, man. I pursue it hard. We don't know we don't have another setting, so we're trained from day one to go hard, and so I went to the Marine Military Academy when I was 13. So in my mind, I've been a Marine since then, and so my whole high school experience was down there. So you go from boot camp to boot camp. It's a trip.
Yeah. Well, you did 4 years of boot camp to boot camp, so.
Hey, was there a gunnery sergeant Frank Martinez as one of your instructors?
Where is there not a Martinez? But no, I don't remember a gunny Martinez down there. We had the most infamous gunny we had down there was Wisnowski, and the stories around this guy were outstanding. These guys were all old Vietnam era vets and stuff, and so this was back in '93. He apparently had gone through the barracks, and some kids were playing the radio too loud, blasted with a shotgun.
Oh, jeez.
But you're gonna laugh. But when I got to boot camp in '97, I was astonished to find that, and this it's just the truth. It was harder or easier in many respects. A lot of that's because of the psychological aspects of it. I kind of conquered down there when I mean, if you're doing boot camp down there at 13, by the time you're old enough to go to actual camp, you've gotten skilled in that. And so, it was a lot easier in a lot of ways. But like when they were trying to say daggone instead of just outright cussing at us, that was brand new to me.
Oh, really?
I was like, where's the cuss words? Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Which was different when you were 13 or when you went to boot camp?
Well, at 13, we've got Vietnam era devil dogs, sergeant majors and shit. Yeah, they're breaking us in pieces. I mean, they were rugged. That was some motherfuckers, man.
All 5 uses of the F-bomb.
Yeah.
Noun, pronoun, adjective.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Just rugged. Just rugged. I mean, I love the Corps for what it is, right? Like, I mean, both my granddads were Marines, and my step granddad was in the Air Force as a pilot, and so like I kind of got a flavor of both sides of what America's military looks like, from Sheriff Force to Devil Dog, and I think you're born to be a Marine. Every Marine I know that's like us, it's in the fucking DNA, right? So I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. My son went to the Army, and he was talking to me about it when he re-enlisted, and he was like, and he was like, "Do you ever have a problem with me going to the Army?" And I was like, "No. If you were supposed to be a Marine, you would be one."
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. I don't think we know how to be anything else.
Yeah. You notice you said Air Force, and the Ryan got excited over there.
Well, he said Chair Force is what he said. And
he said Chair Force.
You ain't lying, baby. I ain't mad. That's what it is.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that at all. All I heard.
I thought he said Chair Farce.
Chair Force.
Come on, Mark. Come on now.
Nice one. Oh, pile it on, boys. Pile it on. No, I'm here for it. I'm here for the abuse because it's well deserved. It's earned. It's just fucking harder. You guys and your ASVAB scores. I don't know what to say.
Hey, Ryan, you can go suck something if you want to. That's fine.
Now I'm one of those weird Marines though that had extremely high ones, right? So like, by the time I graduated high school, I had an associate's degree in foreign language.
Yeah,
they make some weird ones too.
I was the guy that fell asleep taking his ASVAB, and when I came to, they were like, "You got 5 minutes left," and I freaked out and just started filling in bubbles and stuff, trying to get through it. And then at the end, they were like, "Your score was not very good," and I go, "Was it good enough to get in the band?" And they were like, "Barely," and I was like, "It's good enough for me. I'm good."
Dude, one of my best friends who used to work for the government in one capacity and now works for the State Department, his little brother got 100% on the ASVAB.
What?
Like the real, I kid you not, 100%.
I didn't even know that was possible.
It was. He did not miss a question and went into the Navy, enlisted, and then, I don't know, it's this, that, the other thing, kind of threw it away. But it was just like, that's smart
insane.
Kid, man. Like, how do you look? 90s is good. Like, I mean, whatever it is, but maxed it out legitimately, not the pre-ASVAB, the real ASVAB.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, no kidding. It's
wow.
It's kind of obscene.
Yeah, obscene. I like that.
Yeah. I was one of those weirdos that they pulled out of third phase boot camp and had to go take the intel test. And so that was it was true. I'm still friends with one of my drill instructors too. Subsequently, one of my J hat was a guy named Joe Jacobs, and he was I swore he was 10 feet tall and made of iron. And then when we got done with boot camp, he was a cook and he was shorter than me. So it's a trip. And so we're best buddies now, man. Yeah, it was a trip.
That's awesome. Hey, now I saw a cool headline, and it made me think of Mark right away. And it said, "Hero Marine Sergeant Major slammed passenger who tried to open door mid-flight." I thought for sure it was you, Mark. I thought it was you. I read further down. It was a guy named Jody Oh man, I can't see this. Armand Trout, something like that. I don't know if you know who that is, Mark.
A
No, I
Marine,
don't know.
yeah, Marine fish fighter.
Yeah, he took him down in the flight. It's pretty cool.
Very.
Now, Mark, you said you didn't know him.
No, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they were literally in the process of descending to land, and whoever it was decided to try to open an emergency exit, and he got up and tackled him and subdued him and held him. And they said they had to divert to Seattle,
Yeah.
is what I read. And I was like, well, I thought they were in the process of landing, but I mean, why did they suddenly have to divert? But
Yeah,
I don't know what happened at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
once that devil dog's got his paws on him, that game's over. So let's just go back to regular routine. The game's over.
That's right. That poor
Yeah,
dude.
but I mean, you stop and think of any of us. I mean, if you were on a flight and saw that, what would you do? I mean,
That's a good question.
That would be the first response, you would think, but
well, we all want to have that as our response. But yeah, it's hard to. It's just like gunfire, hell, anything else. You don't really know what you're going to do until you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Ryan, you're muted.
Bone, you're muted.
All right, hold on.
There you go.
Nope, now you're muted again. You clicked it twice.
All right, am I here?
Yeah, we got you.
On the thing? God, okay, sorry. I just about ruined the whole podcast. No, dude, I agree with you, and everyone says that you don't know until you're going to be in the minute. But man, I'm gonna have to disagree because the Marine Corps has the best brainwashing and the best installation of motivation.
It's called thoroughly indoctrinated in love of foreign country.
Damn right, dude. And hey, you're damn right. And I'm gonna tell you, if you have hate in your heart and a positive attitude, you can accomplish anything. You can subdue anyone. You know how you're gonna act. And I know this because this has been replicated in police simulations and training where I can't stop myself from like reaching into a car and screwing a gun to someone's head, even though that's not the safest thing, or running to the thing instead of taking cover. So there is that. You can you guys, we're all wired to respond how we would deem appropriately, taking care of the situation. Yeah. But I mean, like everyone says that you don't know. And you know, it's because we don't want to shame people who maybe flinch first, normal response. Yeah. Maybe freeze, right? It's fight or flight, freeze. Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, if we all initially freeze, then it's going to go to fight, or maybe you just fight from Jump Street. And that is something that I just, it's just one of those niceties that it's like a platitude, man. It's like, it's what we say because, non-veterans and, don't get it. They can't. The people we take care of, and it doesn't resonate. But the reality of the situation is nah, man. Like you're gonna do something like that. That's your booty, and you're gonna get dealt with.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Recently I had a conversation with a civilian guy, and being in the arts community, as you can imagine, it's kind of weird to negotiate for a military guy, especially for a Marine, because obviously we have a well-earned reputation, and the guy that looks like he's going to whip your ass if you don't like his painting, that kind of goes differently at the art conventions and shit that I usually attend. And then there's always this thing. There's this thing where I think that, it's going to sound funny, but like it's kind of like when the nerdy kids don't want the jocks to do well. Like they get upset when my heart of praise is high and stuff like that at these things that I go to or whatever. And the most common question I get is, that you did that, like I couldn't. But we have this thing about us, and this is any veteran really. I of course love the Marine Corps because that's who I am. But beyond that, there's that thing that's instilled in the protector type, the sheepdog guy, right? The person that we all signed up to be. That, yeah, I like to think about those things, and I wonder how I would react. But we can sometimes lean on the fact that in those instances we rarely think at all. Usually, what happens is just who we are, and it always winds up being, overwhelming force, and that's what we understand and what we know. When I was first out of the Marine Corps, I was training the Rockwall Police Department with Special Response Team, and you can see a difference between cats that are just civilian trained and cats that have lots of military experience. There's a preference, obviously, for military guys for a reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Now, Ryan, how many years were you in law enforcement? It was over 20, wasn't it?
Well, I was 18 and a half. I did
18 and a half. Okay.
Yeah, 2.5 in corrections, and then 16 years on patrol.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
What was like? Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. So what was like the main takeaways from both of those? They're two different sides of that coin.
Oh man, the corrections is a lot of data entry and a lot of babysitting, but it's a good step off, man, for people who maybe don't have military careers coming in 4 to 8 years of the military. I mean, go get that. And if you don't want to work corrections, don't do it. Join the Corps. I mean, 110%. I mean, in the Corps, don't join the Air Force to do it, but I mean, or do. It's nice too. It's nice, right?
So what's Ryan saying right now is join the Corps and you get to deal with inmates. That's exactly what he's saying. It's like that's exactly that's what he's getting at. Yep.
Mike, but you're brilliant, because here's the deal. When they hired me, they didn't know that I was going to be running the asylum. And therein lies the rub. You just hired a Pisces who's a psycho, ADD spaz, and all this, and smarter than it should be, right? Like, so, for the job I have. And so I like to underachieve. But, I mean, back to your question, brother. It's, corrections it's a great job. It's fun. You do a necessary function. There's a lot of camaraderie. You work very closely and with people a lot more. With like patrol law enforcement, at least in what I worked for a medium-sized county, and I was a county deputy, right? Not a city cop. There was a lot more autonomy and distance and separation and more like individual working. And that was a thing I missed. And, I would say that it just basically depends, man. If you're working in a big city, there's going to be, you might have a partner riding in your car. Right. And that's awesome. Or you're, even in the city of Bellingham, something kicks off downtown Bellingham where I live up here. There's going to be 6 cops tripping all over each other. And then and then the deputy that's close is going to come in and start talking like a Marine and, doing, acting more like a devil dog, right? That's a county thing, right? That's just, the sheriffs are more the Marine Corps, the city cops are more the Army. Sorry, anyone listening. I'm telling the truth. Dang it.
But I mean, with what you're saying right there, though, Ryan, I mean, we're all used to being. All of us used to being part of a team, of being a part of being something bigger. But that's one thing that I've actually cherished. I miss it. Don't get me wrong. I miss being surrounded by people, but all of a sudden being out in the regular world for several years now, I miss it. But then I'm like, just leave me the hell alone. Just let me go do my job. Let me do what I know I got to do. You don't need to babysit me. I'll fill you in. I'll give you a sit rep of what's going on. If I need you, I'll call you. One of those things. It's, and that's one thing that I've had to fight. And even my wife's talked to me about it. She goes, I was like, now my new boss, he's like, well, you're going to have to train people. I was like, son of a bitch. Like, all right. It's like, all right, okay, I got this. It's not something that's new to me. But,
right.
I've gotten used to, even my last few years in the Marine Corps doing what I did, it was, I had a job to do and I answered to a unit, but I was, I was entrusted to do what was right, do what I had to do, and I wasn't questioned, and I got used to that. And I enjoy that, myself personally, but I do miss being around a bunch of people, or at least like-minded people.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest issue with, working with other people, especially in my job. I don't work with a lot of different people, but it's like, dude, shut up, you know, Are
Just
you
let me do
listening
me.
to, the other day, and he's even an Army vet. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy to death. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and he doesn't listen. Like, what'd you say to him?
Yeah.
And I pulled a Chris Rock on him, like, can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Just like that, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I find that one thing that's. Oh, sorry, guys.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like one thing that's super challenging for civilians to pick up is that, especially those of us that are NCO and above, right? We're self-starters. We don't need to be prompted a whole lot, right? If we know what the mission is, we can go do it, And so I find that one thing that's challenging for me is like working around with civilian folks, other than the regular military rub stuff, but like, we don't need and often take offense to being babysat, right? And so like it's hard for me. Like if you kind of micromanage me, I'll tell you to step the fuck off me, because I'm like, look, you told me what the mission is.
Yeah.
That went through my head, right? And then the me that has been doing missions for a while just started doing it, and then noticing things to fix along the way. I didn't need to tell you each one of those things as we go. Let me just handle the job. I'll give you a brief at the end of the fucking day.
Yeah. Now, I haven't worked in the civilian sector very much, but Ryan, you obviously work in military, but that's a lot of civilians that are doing that. Do you see a difference in the military guys that go into law enforcement and the civilians that go into it?
Yeah, I do, but I've also seen military individuals struggle because they aren't independent free thinkers. And so I've seen guys who have excellent combat experience, even military policemen, who just when you have LOAC, right, the law of armed conflict, and you have ops orders, and you have a mission, and you have a commander running what you do, like if Jocko's running Task Force Bruiser, it's running down, and you're PFC Snuffy at the end of a gun just doing your shit. Like that is not firing the same amount of thought synapses, and it's that instantaneous decision making with within parameters of the law, morality, ethics, and case law and policy, right? That box that you can party in. That is what makes an excellent police officer. And there's military people that can do that. Absolutely. And civilian and lots of different careers. But you find that in law enforcement, not every military person is, set up or attuned to that. And I say most are, or most can get there and do better. I would say one of the biggest things that I've seen locally, where I taught and instructed cops in Whatcom County when I was a field training officer. One of my happiest moments was when I found out that one of my trainees graduated high school from Linden Christian, a private school, because that they do not dummies make. They are they can write, they can read, they can walk and chew gum, and even if they were a C student, they'd be an A student at a shitty public school. And you just know that there are things that if I don't have to worry about your syntax and writing and communication, and there's no LOL, hashtag dot
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's their
like, you know what
ability
I
to
mean?
comprehend.
You just
exactly.
know that from Jump Street, well, now I can focus on the important things. And so I would say, yes, military, excellent, always good. Lateral with law enforcement experience, easily number one, makes it the easiest. But then number three is like just that intelligence quotient where you know they can communicate verbally and in writing, then you can just write off a bunch of nonsense and get to the important stuff, get to real training.
Yeah.
So I hope that kind of answers the question. But yeah, no, I mean, and I wish more veterans would go into law enforcement, and I wish more spec ops guys would too. But I also understand the issue in that, sometimes after combat arms, just being trained in that, or numerous deployments, and then different careers, especially some of these more special operations focused ones, is you just can't deal, right? It's like what you said, Phantom.
Sure.
Like you can't, I'm a self-starter, I'm a self-motivator. I just take you can't come to me, right, and deal with this. And in law enforcement, man, you just deal with people coming at you, challenging you, but in various levels, and not all of them require a throat punch or a gun in the face. And so it's, believe it or not, right? Sometimes it's like just, being assertive, or even just stepping back and being kind. Sometimes space and free hugs for locals is good. But people just self-identify as being like, I can't do that. I'd throttle somebody. And it's like, that's true. It's 100% true. And I found that out, personally after, my own critical incidences and stuff in law enforcement, that I had to leave because I had issues with PTSD, and I got to the point where you can't MF people, throttle people on body cam. What don't need throttling, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Punishment fit the crime.
Well, you can. It just doesn't work out too well.
You're gonna get fired or go to prison. Washington State, I'm gonna go to jail. So
Yeah, that was two things I was going to say. Like you're saying, Ryan, that certain people in those situations, and that was going to be my first question when you kept talking, was that you were in law enforcement. You said what, 20?
18,
almost 20 years. I know you say you don't want to say 20 years, but what. Watching, say veterans come in, and I don't know when you started law enforcement. Roughly when did you start, even corrections in
06.
06, okay. Did you start to see veterans, from like beginning of the Iraq conflict, Afghanistan coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. And
what as you saw them coming in, what kind of characteristics did you see them bring in with you as time went on? I'll just say like a Marine in Fallujah. I'm not saying the Marine Corps wasn't the only one in Ramadi or Fallujah, but we as Marines, we know that. Right. Sitting there dealing with that crap. How what was the concept and what was their mindset coming into law enforcement? And are you able to defrag people's brains like that to get to a point in law enforcement where it's like, okay, well, not everything has to be an escalated, someone's going to die today, where it could be, hey man, are you okay? You having a bad day? Is something going on? That's what, I look at law enforcement now as that kind of person that can comprehend between, okay, shit's going sour real quick, or is this guy okay? Is something else going on? Just to sit and talk to somebody, and it's like, hey, are you okay? Is something going on?
That also
did you ever see any of that? I'm sorry, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
go
That
ahead.
goes back to when they were talking about having like therapists or somebody doing ride-alongs with cops and different things like that to try to be there. But I don't think necessarily we need that. Like even in the Marine Corps, right? We went away from the traditional sense of counseling and what we used to do, and then we started pushing them out to therapists. We started pushing them out to other places, which necessarily isn't a bad thing, but it removes some of us, right? That the individuals. And I don't know if you had to deal with any of that, Ryan, but I would imagine it'd be the same kind of deal.
Yeah, no, and to answer both questions, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, Mike. Everyone has different strengths. So the devil dog is an easy person that is going to engage, who's going to be able to put their hands on people, who is going to be generally more physically fit, have their boots, they're going to have their shit wired tight when it comes to their uniform and their boots, right?
Yeah.
And so, all right, it's a 4 for the day, man. Like you get your check, you get your grading. Like let's focus on maybe, you were a combat arms Marine, you did your 4 to 8 years, and probably they're good on a mic. They've spoken on a microphone, things like that. So you can really just focus on different things. Whereas someone who maybe, let's just say a kid went to college for 4 years and always wanted to be a cop, but God love them. They just, they did college instead of that, right? It worked for them.
Yeah.
That's fine too. They're going to be, generally speaking, good at, writing and, communicating with a little bit of technology. And they might, everybody who's in their early 20s lacks like life experience, right? But
social skills.
Right, dude, even 18 to 22-year-old devil dogs who, I mean, God love them, like one Fallujah. But what actual interpersonal skills did you learn?
Yeah.
So, there's an answer to your question, Mike, is like sometimes you're like, hey man, like not everybody is an Islamic, militant or an enemy combatant. And so, there's paradigm shifts, and within that paradigm shift, I think a lot of people who do truly decide they want to get into law enforcement, they make that decision. They come back from their service, they come back from their deployments. I mean, but you're screened psychologically as well. So you have to take a psychological screening, and you have to do an interview with a shrink, at least in Washington. And then you have to interview with, law enforcement administrators and stuff, right? I had to do 2 different oral boards with multiple different people and, get, psych profiles and stuff. And so, that does kind of weed out problematic stuff, right? If you want to be a cop, you shouldn't want to kill people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, it's horrible. But that's one of the things cops say. It's like civilian cops who've never served are like, if you want to kill people, go join the Marine Corps, right? You're going to go deploy and go to war, right? Go to, join the military, go to war if that's what you want. And I don't think anybody even in the Marine Corps wants that. It's just a reductive statement, but it's one of those, it's one of those things where, but like, the capacity to engage in interpersonal violence is also diminishing with every generation.
True.
Bullying is so bad and vilified. There's no more bullying unless it's on Instagram. Like, there's people don't physically, unless you're like a high school football player or a wrestler or some crap. Like, there's no physical violence or interaction, in this newer generation. And that's wild to have to teach and train or even just introduce the concept of, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And that's a big struggle, as a trainer, there were amazingly smart people. There were, whether it was a veteran or anybody else, and like I said, different strengths, but there was people who've never had any real, conflict with other people, right? Or a fight. And just like, have you ever even been in a fight? And especially females, like it's, generally speaking, there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like you were saying, Ryan, you were saying earlier that bringing people in, but and that's one thing I would think, like in your position, but even in the military, we keep saying Marine Corps, but you're an Air Force guy, but regardless,
I'm a Marine
we
at
still
heart.
love you. We still love you.
Senior leadership is senior leadership, and even in the military, even like in the military, and the police force, or and when that's where senior leadership and good leadership comes into play.
Yeah.
And that's where senior leadership has to understand, even in the military, that everybody, including myself, and people saw that in me, what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, and they pushed me to go certain directions, and they pushed me in another direction, which was, my weaknesses, to push me to be better in certain areas.
Yeah.
But the military, I think, is maybe easier. I can't imagine being in the civilian, like law enforcement, and having to, like you were saying, you could be a senior law enforcement officer, and you get, some young guy in there, a young person, woman, man, whatever, young person, and like you said, they have different talents and specialties that you don't understand, you don't have, but they don't have your experience and your ability to deal with certain things. And like you saying, I'm assuming everyone on this screen right now has been punched in the face.
Yeah.
Or punched somebody in the face, or got their tail kicked, or
Mark never had to, just because the way he looks, everyone's too scared.
Mark was just sergeant major.
Were you born that way, Mark? Just a beast like that. Look at you. But with the smile.
Yeah.
As soon as he showed up on the yellow footprints, and I guess you were San Diego, huh, Mark? Right?
Yeah, where the men went.
No. Okay.
San Diego.
I'll give you that slack, Mark, just because you were sergeant major. But but you were standing on the yellow footprints, and your freaking drill instructor stood in front of you and said, "This is what I asked for," just because of Mark.
Yeah. I want to take a moment to talk about something important: getting the VA disability rating and benefits you've earned. The VA claims process is overwhelming and can feel like a maze. For a lot of us, just getting started is half the battle. That's where Brookside comes in. Brookside Veteran Services. We've got your six. Brookside has helped tons of veterans, just like you and me, take on the VA claim system with confidence. Whether you're filing for the first time, going through an appeal, or trying to get rating increase, they've got your back. Here's some of what they offer: step-by-step help with your VA disability claim, support with appeals and increases, a personalized approach that respects the unique services and situation, and the best part, no upfront fees. They only get paid when you do. Go see the website, www.helpvetusa.com. Contact Michael Irie, Veteran Services Representative on Facebook, or email michael.helpvetusa@gmail.com or admin.helpvetusa@gmail.com. The bottom line is, you served your country. You earned these benefits. Let Brookside help you get what's yours. Brookside Veteran Services. We've got your six. Hey, Mark, real quick. Now, you work in an organization that is closely related to the military. And do you have a lot of prior military in that organization like yourself? And then the other part is, how many, is it civilian centric as well? And how does that
majority,
work?
I work for the Wounded Warrior Project. And I think that I don't even know the percentage, but it's a very high percentage that are military veterans.
No.
And if not, there's a lot of spouses that military spouses that work at it. But no, it's very veteran centered. That's for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. And now you don't have what is the question I'm trying to ask here? You don't find it difficult or anything for some of those military individuals that are going into that? Do they, or is it just hit or miss?
No, it's I tell you, this organization has a very stringent hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, sometimes it takes like months to get hired because
Oh wow.
they're trying to weed them out at the front,
Yeah.
the front end. And like I said, if they have so many different interviews with different people, and if there's any type of spidey senses about, hey, this guy's not going to work well with others,
Right.
he's not going to get hired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Makes
I
sense.
know, shoot, I know 2 full-bird colonels, 1 lieutenant colonel, a master sergeant, a first sergeant, and a sergeant major who tried for different positions and they did not get hired.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, they applied for several different positions, or I mean, not just one position. They
Yeah.
applied for a position, got rejected, tried for another position, got rejected. And my boss is my old Marine Corps boss. So I kind of get the inside scoop. He says, yeah, that guy, no, there's too many little red flags start popping up about
Mm-hmm.
how he works with other people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would say the majority of the time when it comes to working or anything like that, I imagine you're looking for somebody that works well with others, that can integrate and be flexible, right? Both law enforcement on the civilian side, like it doesn't matter. That's what I think.
Definitely, because with the Winter Warrior Project,
Culture.
a lot on most of the programs, whether it's the financial readiness with mine, benefits program, Warriors of Work, the outreach program, there's a lot of not damaged goods. I don't want to use that, but a lot of veterans with issues,
But
and you have to be empathetic. I think empathy is one of the biggest things with this. Don't be sympathy where you start feeling sorry for them, but you just got to understand the place they are in when they contact you,
right.
so that when you're asking them for certain information and they're taking a long time to send that information back to you, you
Mm-hmm.
got to be a little understanding, and sometimes you got to use some more guidance and some direct questions or
Mm-hmm.
instructions to get the information from them.
Right.
But at the
Yeah,
same
for
time,
sure.
you don't want to get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated. It's so easy to get frustrated with some of them because sometimes they when they're in trouble, then they feel entitled that you have to help them because I'm a
Oh
veteran
wow.
and I'm a combat veteran
Oh,
and you should help me.
Wow.
It's like,
Yeah.
so those get
That's kind of messed up.
so yeah, so you got to remain cool, calm, collected, and no knife hands.
yeah.
No, what?
Exactly. Those
Man,
aren't for everybody. Those aren't for everybody.
I don't know how you survive, Mark.
So
Man, no knife hands.
Mark sits in his office with his hands under his butt, and he's
Yeah.
got his little headset on. And he's like,
But everyone's safe then, Mark included. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? And Phantom, like you don't have to sit on your hands.
True.
You got to make art with it. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of not having to work for anybody.
but that,
Ah,
and that's
yeah.
interesting, Mark. You saying that even like in with wounded veterans, how they actually, I'm assuming, lessons learned the hard way, and they've had to learn over time. That organization that it's like, hey, we've got to start vetting people different. We got to do this. We've got to do that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's
And
and it's
even
like
that,
go ahead,
even
Mark.
with the position I have, with the financial readiness, where I'm doing financial counseling and then also emergency financial assistance. It's a fast pace. I mean, you got a calendar that
Yeah.
gets booked, and you got to make an appointment. They set up appointments for like a certain amount of time, but sometimes these veterans, you get talking to them and trying to drag the information out, and your time
Yeah.
goes over, and
Yeah.
you got to go right on to the next appointment.
Yeah.
And then if it's an emergency situation, they just throw the case at you, and you've got so much time to deal with it. You got to make it
Oh
happen.
man.
And
Yeah.
so,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you go without lunch. Sometimes you're there a little early. Sometimes you're there late. And so they've had people in these positions that aren't veterans, that like my boss was telling me, they had this guy came from civil service. He was working some government job somewhere, but thought this would be a cool job, and he just could not keep up with the pace.
Yeah.
First he couldn't he couldn't identify with the warrior, and the pace was just, he's used to a government job where just you just gotta have a pulse, and fog a mirror, and you can do your job and get paid.
Well, I think, and
I used to
think
be
I
my
would
girlfriend
honestly,
that
as long as they can fog a mirror.
way. Yeah.
But I would think in a position like that, Mark, I mean, you would actually want, veterans that, actually, especially in, I want to say, and it's terrible to say every generation of military is like, oh, my generation, back when I was,
Oh, yeah.
But I would like to think that, most veterans, at least in the last 30 years, would be a good fit for that because they could at least have an understanding of, okay. And it's got to be hard. Don't get me wrong. When you're sitting there listening to somebody go on them, it'd be hard for me not to say, okay, dumbass. Well, why the hell did you? It's like, okay, stop.
Exactly.
Just stop.
It is.
All right,
It is
dumbass.
tough.
But
It is tough not to say
we've
that.
all as veterans, I hate to say this, myself included, have been in those positions.
Yeah.
It's like, my wife would literally sit and look at us like, why the hell do we buy that new car? Well, we can't, or something like that. We couldn't afford that, but we were getting BAH and we were living out in town and we were doing this. And, it's like, okay, well, geez, okay, all right, well, but we didn't go and get, none of that was there, nor would it, no offense, I probably wouldn't have used it.
But
They're
out there. I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of $1,200-$1,500 car payments. These people come in, I'm like,
oh, good Lord.
God bless.
Why why?
That's crazy because, Andrew knows this, Ryan. I don't know if you know. Andrew and I are both Marine bandsmen. And Fantom, and I apologize. I can't remember your first name to save my life. And you don't want me to know, that's
Don.
fine. What?
No, it's Don. It's Don.
Dawn?
Yeah.
D-O-N, Dawn. Yeah.
Dawn.
D-O-N, Don. Yeah.
You were saying something earlier about, the arts and stuff like that, and I was going to stop you, and I was like, no, he's making a point. But it's like, man, you want to know about guys and supposedly the arts, especially when you combine it with the military or the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps and the band field is not a good mix.
Really?
That's why
I've always been very interested in it.
That's why we went to Iraq in 2003. Well, and it's not the first time a Marine band went to, the Gulf War and Vietnam.
Well, they've been in every war.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, we went in 2003 and it's like, oh, there's the band, or the effing band, even though we were perimeter security, patrols, stuff like that, heavy machine gun platoon for the division.
Still fucking Marine.
Yeah. But, that's all we ever got was, oh, there's the band. And, then it turned into, well, it started out with 1st Marine Division at Pendleton. It was Recon Battalion. And they're like, sorry, Andrew, you're going to have to mark this one for adult content. But there's the fucking band.
Every one of them.
There's the fucking band. It's the fucking band. Well, our call sign became TFB, the fucking band.
Hell yeah, fucking own
throughout the 1st Marine Division.
I got it on
TFB.
the tattoo.
Did you get it, man?
I love it.
It's on. So you remember those rope tension drums that we designed?
Yes.
I came up with the design on them, right? And so I got that tattoo. It's a rope tension drum. It's got the 1st Marine Division logo on it because that's the one I designed. And it has TFB. I don't know if you remember because I had them put TFB on it and everybody freaked out. And they were like,
I
oh my
remember
God,
you
they're going to
did
know.
that, but I never actually got to see it.
Oh, it's pretty badass. I'll have to send you a copy of it.
That was what we were. I've always wanted to get a tattoo with TFB on it, but I've never done it because I didn't. But that was the thing, was TFB. It's the fucking band.
I love it. Yeah, that's cool.
But we like you're talking about the arts and how you're kind of interacting with different people and they see you as a the Marine and this and that. We're kind of the same way in the band, right? Like if nobody just by looking at you, you're not going to know that somebody's I guess there's some that you would know that they're a musician.
Yeah,
but for the most part, when you put the uniform on, you're not going to be able to tell, right?
But I mean, we went out and did qualifications with rifle call and pistol call with these infantry guys, and even as as we going into after 03 and 04, I don't know, Andrew, I think you were a part of it. We went out and did when the 1st Marine Division band was going with 5th Marines. We all did. They changed. We learned a lot of crap after 03 and especially 04 of what we're doing, how we're going to qualify on the rifles and stuff like that. And it just amazed them that, you'd see these infantry guys trying to walk a straight line like this, trying to shoot. And they're like this. And we're just walking a straight line. And like, how the hell do you guys do that? And it's like, that's what we get paid for.
We're the fucking band. That's how we do things. We freaking glide,
tuck
man.
Tuck it in and freaking quit bobbing and weaving and just freaking walk a straight damn line. It's like,
it's fun. It's funny. You bring it up a good point, though. It's funny how skills like that, right? You would think in the band, okay, you're learning an instrument, doing all these other things, but how does that apply to combat arms? Right? If I need to be smooth in my glide as I'm approaching a target or something like that, a band guy knows how to do that, man. He knows how to roll the feet. He knows how to march and not bounce up and down, and he's able to get the rounds on target. And I think one of my favorite memes, or I don't know if it's a meme, but cartoons was when it was like they're at the range, right? There's three guys at the range, and they're like, "Oh my God, you must be a sniper!" And he's like, "No, I'm in the band." That's one of my favorite ones. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, we got that crap all the time.
Yeah,
we had guys in the bands that got tagged for coaches as coaches. I mean, I could shoot long distance and pistol, but I mean, I was never like coach worthy. But it was always funny to see. They're like, "How the hell do you guys shoot like that?" And it's like, I don't know, just shoot.
That's always been a trip to me because, so I'm a grunt guy, and so I've always thought the band was so fucking cool. So
you think that, but as a band person,
you're one of the few.
Believe the crap that I mean, the band is probably the band. I mean, except for Mark. Mark loves the band. Don't get me wrong. Mark absolutely loves it.
Definitely, without a doubt.
Mark is the reason that I went to 2nd Battalion because he knew I was in the band, and he was like, "Yeah, that guy knows how to march. He's coming to 2nd Battalion."
Exactly.
Yeah. But he,
how many
everybody.
of Friendly Sons and new Nice Guys events had you done?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the band is one of those. The band is hated till they're needed. And that's the amazing thing. And I contribute that even in the law enforcement, Ryan. It's like you're hated till you're needed, and all of a sudden, you're the best thing that ever worked. I mean, it's two different things. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, but you're right. No, you're what you're saying is dead nuts. 100%.
Yeah, it's just like you guys, go F yourselves. You guys don't do anything. I mean, we did the same, at least in the divisions. I'm not saying, us going to the field for 2 weeks was the same as doing what, these other 3 guys were doing and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, the expectation is, we had to do this, we had to do that. And that's one of the biggest things with, other militaries. The Marine Corps is the only one where the band field is still required to be a Marine.
Yep. Yeah. Every Marine is an infantryman.
Yeah. It doesn't mean,
I know that. Right? I love that. That an admin why do I know that statement, man? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it is awesome.
Hey guys, my audio is dead. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure you can hear me, but I hope you can, but I can't hear you. So I'm going to log out, but I just want to leave with from a grunt guy, right? Every fucking devil dog is a devil dog, right? I think I caught that being said, but yeah, that's fucking true, right? And there's nothing cooler than being able to put a trombone down, which was my high school instrument, by the way.
Yeah.
Put a trombone down and replace it with a rifle and be effective. I think that shit's badass. I love you guys. Semper Fi till we die. I love all y'all. I hope you guys have a great night. I'm sorry I can't hear anymore, but we'll catch up and do it again, okay? Appreciate you guys. Andrew,
Sounds
get
good,
ready.
man.
I had a bad motherfucking painting coming for you, cowboy.
Oh,
Y'all
I
take
can't
care,
wait,
guys.
man.
All right.
Can't wait.
Nice. Excellent.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Well, we really
Okay,
didn't have
I've
much
gotta
to talk
ask
about.
Brian.
We had a lot of stuff to talk about. So.
Oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
know. I gotta ask. You got Bone, Bone, is that right? I don't have
Yeah.
my glasses on, so explain Bone.
I'm bringing it back, man. So that's been my nickname since I was 15.
Oh, okay.
There's a Rathbone Road. It's in outside of Linden here. And when I moved here in the early 90s, like Rathbone, no one could figure it. And then, at 15, I had a high school coach who was like, "Yeah, your nickname's Bone, man." He's like, "It's either that or Dr. Love. You choose." And I was like, I get the
Bone
Kiss
sounds pretty
reference,
good.
but it'd probably be Bone, right? And so yeah, man, I've just been called that forever. And then
All right.
man, I'm on body cam with other cops calling me that.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like
Nice.
even and so I kind of wanted to bring it back and as I start this new nursing career and this kind of like second half of my life, it's Ryan, right? I'm Ryan or Nurse Rathbun or something lame. But like if I walk around the local hospital where I do my training, people see me and like yell at, "Hey, Bone, like, what's up? How are you doing?" I'm like, I got to flinch. So, I mean, yeah, that's me. That's who I am. It's might as well be my first name.
I like it.
So yeah, that's it, man.
Well, that's it from here on. It's Bone.
Good.
So,
I love it. I love it. And this is the appropriate venue for that, right?
Yeah.
I can be I can be Nurse Ryan or I can be whatever else professionally, but it's
you got a call sign, and that's what it needs to be.
Right.
All right, exactly. I gotta ask. So when I was in high school, my nickname, they called me, well, actually before high school, junior high, going into high school, but they called me Toothpick because I was so skinny. So Toothpick, and then it eventually went to Pick, and then of course I am not that anymore, not by any stretch of the imagination. I have blossomed, and my Toothpick is more like a big giant wooden bat.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I can't claim my old name.
You're like one of those old olive swords, it's got the big
right, yeah, the little I know you're talking
plastic
about.
sword, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mark.
I can't say anything about that. I'm sorry.
What was your old nickname, Mark? What was it growing up?
I didn't really have a nickname growing up.
No.
We really didn't do. Not too many people did stuff like that.
Oh,
unless it was like a Polish guy with ski, of course.
Yeah.
How the hell were you ski?
Not him. He was saying if a Polish guy was there, he'd be ski at the end. Yeah.
I was getting ready to get offended as an Irish person. I was like,
yeah,
calling you ski.
I was gonna say,
he's about to get offended.
Yeah, there was no. That wasn't really a big deal with us. I don't know why.
That might be an every other generation thing, man, where it's just like it hit probably before you missed it, the next one after, it just seems to go differently, right? Like
I never had a nickname either, but I mean, I had friends, and it's terrible to say by today's terms, it would be terrible, but one was Fatty.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a big dude. He was this little skinny dude like you, but we all called him Fatty.
Yeah, Tiny's giant. It's
hey, Fatty. That's what everybody knew him by was Fatty. Another guy, his name was William, but I don't know how the hell they got the name, but it's a nickname, but it was Dewey. Like, hey, Dewey. It was Dewey, Fatty. I never had one.
Dewey's kind of that's an Irish thing, though.
Yeah.
Is it?
But,
Yeah.
his last name was Mays, but it
Hmm.
was Dewey. But that's what everybody called him by, was Dewey. And he was
Yeah,
a
because
big
we
boy,
had
big
two
guy,
guys
but
that they had the same name as their father.
yeah,
The exact same name. So the son was Dewey.
yeah.
Mm,
But I
that
never
makes sense.
had a damn nickname until I was in the Marine Corps. So
Now, what do they call you in the Marine Corps, Mike?
well, I'm a Mick, right?
Yeah,
But everybody called me Mac.
Mac. Yeah.
I'm like, why the fuck are you calling me Mac? I'm a damn Mick,
Right.
And they always call me that. And even Blue at
Yeah.
Pendleton, George Schweitzer,
Hmm.
Johnny, then Master Sergeant Schweitzer, he was like, "Hey, Mac," and finally one day, he pissed me off one day. I don't remember what it was. I'm like, "What the fuck are you calling me Mac?" And he's like, "What do you want me to call you?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Well, that's all I've ever known you by is Mac." I was like, "Okay, call me Mac. That's fine."
That's how it goes.
But
I
he was
love it.
blue because he had red hair. He
Yeah.
was red haired, but he met his wife on it when he was in Okinawa, the band,
In
and they went to
Australia.
Australia, and he met
That's where he's at now, isn't it?
yeah, he met Jeanette there, and then they got married, and she moved to the United States, but in Australia they call redheads blues, so that was just his
No,
nickname.
I didn't know that. I knew his nickname was Blue, but I didn't know that's
Yeah.
the reason.
Well, that's why, because he had red hair, and in Australia
Interesting.
they call redheads blues. So
Now,
he was,
Blue, he was the drum major instructor when I was going through the schoolhouse as a drum major,
yeah,
and he would always tell everybody, "Don't ever throw the mace. Don't ever throw the mace." And then, literally 2 seconds after saying that, would be, "Hey, Cox, come here," and he would show me this cool little thing where he'd throw the mace and do something. He said, "You need to try that." And I'm like,
Jeez.
"You literally just told us not to do this, right?" So one day I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna try it." I do this behind the back thing. I
I
throw
know
the
where this
mace
is
up in
going.
the air. It goes like 10 feet in front of me. Like, there's no way I'm catching this thing, right? And it clink, clink, clink all over the ground. Luckily, it was in front of me. I picked it up. I cut the band out immediately because I'm like, if I don't do this again, I'll never do it ever in my life. So I did it again, threw it up, caught it, man, horns up. I did it. It was fantastic. And we get back to the schoolhouse, and man, he commenced to chewing my ass. Man, he lit me up one side down the other, and he just said, how could you dare do this, and blah 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 blah. He went on, and then at the very end, he goes, "But it was really fucking cool." And he turned around and walked off, and I'm like, "Am I in trouble or am I good? I don't know what to do."
No, he had to do that. Yeah, that was Blue.
Yeah, Blue
Blue
is a
would
good
tear
dude.
you apart in front of
Yeah.
everybody, and then as everybody's walking away, he's like, "I just wanted to let you know, man, that's some good shit right there, man." I don't know what,
Yeah,
and
that's Blue.
that's one
Hey,
thing
I
that
got to get going. I've got my wife's got the ribeyes done.
Oh,
oh Jesus,
Mark,
seriously,
every
ribeyes
time, every time with the ribeyes.
Yeah.
Priorities,
I'm go-
man. I don't
I'm gonna
blame
have
you.
to go
You
to
know it.
California and visit Mark.
You know it. Hey,
Check
come on
out these
out.
ribeyes in the butter.
You know
Man.
Yeah, I keep hearing these rumors that we've got the group I'm with, mechanical packaging here on the East Coast. We got one on the West Coast there in Carlsbad for
Really?
Georgia Pacific, and they keep asking for people to come out there and help do some
Yeah.
training. So
I bet
Come
they
on
do.
out.
I think I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
sign up for that and come out. And
Definitely.
I'm gonna live
Definitely.
like I'm gonna be at Mark's. I'm gonna be like, "Ribeye, please, yes, sir."
Not,
All
covered
right,
with
Mark.
butter. Covered with
There you
butter.
Hey,
go.
All right.
thank you, Mark.
Semper Fi.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you on
Bye.
Sunday.
Bye. All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Bye. Are we still recording?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, okay.
We're
need to
only
sign
at
us
an
off,
hour
Peter,
and
or-
7 minutes. Huh?
Do you need to sign us off, or are we going to continue?
Need to know. This
Okay.
won't post until next week on Thursday.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
I didn't
shit.
have anybody to
Okay.
come in. So this is a usually on Thursdays, Bone. What we do is like I'll have a veteran organization or a veteran business, a veteran-owned business or something like that, and I'll highlight them. So that's usually what I do on Thursdays. So if you can make it, that's great. If not, it's all right. But typically I have somebody. I did not have anybody lined out this week.
Cool.
So, but I think I do next week. I don't know. If I don't, I'll find somebody.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you again.
Woo.
So when
Yeah,
are you
no,
supposed
that's
to
great.
graduate, Bone?
What's that?
When are you supposed to graduate from nursing
Next
school?
summer, man. I
Oh,
literally
yeah.
just finished my last clinical last night, and for the end of the first year. So I got a couple of weeks, wrap up some stuff, take a couple of tests, do a couple of things, but and then I gotta do one more full year. But
Ugh.
it's all right. I tithe a nice labor attorney that keeps me paid. So that's what it is, right? It's
Good for you trying to do going into another career.
I got to do something, man. I'm 44. I'll be 45 when I start nursing, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, I if I were 10 years older, yeah, probably not, man. Or I would be doing something, or maybe find a passion project or work part-time. But I can't, right? And it's different, different set of circumstances for me. So, and I'm still working through it. So I'm going to find out next year how I dealing with people in an emergency room, right? Where it's the same clientele I used to deal with and in a different capacity, and obviously in a different outfit. I can tell you how it went the last time before I punched out. It was, mostly good, but at that bitter end, it wasn't, right. It was like, you can't treat people like that. So, which is fine. I don't mind saying that. You can post that. I didn't break any laws or any policies or assault anybody, but I was getting dangerously close.
No, you were on two different sides of it. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. And,
now, you get caught in the middle, right? I think you got caught in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and now we'll see, we'll see how it works. And if it's something I just have to power through for a quarter or 2 quarters, I can do my final, nursing, whatever it is, OJT shit in a different, different avenue of nursing. And then the job I want, I can go get any job, man. And I'm sure this will come up in another podcast or talking about stuff as a veteran that I do want to bring up with like veteran skills and prior law enforcement people's skills is, dude, like, you think people don't like you maybe because you're a vet, or people don't like you because you're a cop. Dude, even libtards love vet cops. They love hiring you. You have no clue, like, the amount of, like, you think, you get so much run and so much respect and so much preference. It's a thing, man, and it's awesome. And so, like, I'll bring that up at some point and just encourage people. Because it's one of those things, like, you don't realize it. And I'm I don't know, I'm here talking to you guys and we're, very similar and stuff, but, I have a lot of self-deprecating, kind of habits and stuff. But it's like, man, it's like, the reality is like, on paper, I'm bad as hell. And you can't, especially as a nurse, like, there's a crisis. Someone's sicker than they were. Dude, they can't be sick. Are they dying? Like, we're all dying in the Sylvia Plath sense of the word, but then there's like actively kind of dying, and then there's dying now. Like, you're not dying right now. Like, I put a hole in you and you're dying now. What's all the fuss about?
I got a
people
question.
Don't have that perspective. I have that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What it is.
Are these all conversations we should be having on the podcast right now? I'm just.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
He can edit this if it's live. Who cares? I don't. Okay. It doesn't matter. No, dude.
I'm just being honest. I mean, my wife in the medical field is a nurse. I'm just. Asking. That's why I've shared
zero HIPAA information.
I didn't say you have.
I know. All right, so I'm fine. No, I dig it. And honestly, if I recently just signed up back into Facebook and Instagram after
I saw that
over a decade off,
you
dude.
Me, actually.
Yep.
You friended me. Yeah.
So, that's a story for another time. I'd like to bring that up and
for sure.
My absence from social media. And
so what are you on now?
Well, I'm
He's
on,
on Facebook
and
now.
Instagram. I think just as me, like Ryan Rathman. But
What, you're on both Instagram and Facebook? I didn't see the
Yeah.
Instagram one, did I?
I
I don't think I saw that one.
He's
I don't know.
he's letting everybody and their brother know what he's on now. So
Yeah.
I'm on.
Well, no,
I'm
but I
on
mean, it's
most of
good. Like you
them,
said,
but
you have
I
something to promote. That's what That's what Andrew said. Like it's like I
yeah.
got you have a podcast. You got to get it out there. You got to talk about it. And I haven't opened up anything I post to the world. I'm getting there because I honestly I've had it for 7 days, maybe 8 or 9. Who knows? But like I don't log in every day.
But
I don't check it every hour.
I will say that one, employers are looking at social media. That's huge, right? Not for me, because I'm like, I don't really give a shit. But for those guys that are trying to get jobs, it's important, right? You need to be careful what you post on social media. And then 2 is there's a lot of hate and discontent out there, and you got to be careful on what you post, because you're going to get some hate and discontent from somebody, and it doesn't matter which side of the aisle it is, you're going to get hate and discontent. So it's
I know
tough.
that. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I know that from my wife's perspective as a labor and delivery nurse. That's something that she's experienced with patients.
Yeah.
And my wife literally just goes out of her way and gets, man, I'm having a hard time saying this, but bone, Daisy Awards like nurses get. They get Daisy Awards from, hospitals for work, patients and stuff. And just one after another, after another, after another, after another. And all of a sudden there'll be just this one patient that no matter what you did, that, you didn't follow exactly their birth plan of doing this, doing that. And we wanted this, and we wanted the warm blankets, and we wanted, and I'm speaking for me. I'm not saying that's exactly what she said, but it's my perspective. And all of a sudden you've got people like researching you online, looking her up and posting things and saying crap. Really? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, quit posting crap. Just get off of social media. And she's like, well, no. And she's like, it's my life. I said, well, then quit posting stuff about your family, and stuff like that. And it's
I don't know. There's got to be, I don't know.
Well,
social media is a strange beast in itself.
Well, I mean, in the same sense, I mean, I'm not saying her, but I'm saying like hospitals, when they get patients like that and start doing stuff like that, they go into deep dive in patient social media.
Yeah.
When it comes to lawsuits and stuff like that, and they start looking at different things.
They sure do, and they do it when you're a cop, and they do it when you're a good cop and a
absolutely
I believe that.
Absolutely.
And you're ripping 1 or 2 felons a day, and you're jamming people up. And they have to, and the only thing they have against you isn't your work product or how you followed policy procedure or how you play within law, but it's something that you said. For me,
taken out of context.
2007. Oh no, mine was in context, by the way, but it was, And so, let's just, it's what it is. Right. And so and that's the funniness is, I've been on the record. I've been on the record testifying over the phone or in person to judges and superior court commissioners.
I don't mean to cut us off, man, but I mean, Andrew, I'd actually rather you turn this off so we can sit here and talk. I don't want anything like this to come back on, Ryan.
Me? I mean, it's well known. It's well known.
Okay.
I honestly
I'm
don't.
just being honest with you. I just
I get it, Mike.
My own wife's experience. I don't want anything to come around for anything.
No, dude.
I'm trying to be.
No, I appreciate it, and this is all well documented in the paper. It's on PBS Seattle.
Nice.
Where they slander me for having freedom of speech, and so no, I get it, right? Anything I'm going to say is already out there, and I'll just say that, I have as a cop, I've had to testify that I had a potentially impeachable information letter. They call it a Brady letter because I parroted an off-color South Park joke, and did it stop me from doing my job? No. Did it become a hassle? Was it farcical? Yes. Did it become a thing that certain judges and commissioners and other people, I'd get off the record, they'd hear it, they'd be like, yeah, I saw that episode, right?
Yeah.
I get the joke, right? I know that you're not a racist. You didn't say this, you didn't do that, you're not that. But that's just the implication. And so like what, and Mike's legitimate concern, and I don't know if he punched out and left, or there you are.
I didn't leave. I'm right here.
It's a legitimate concern, and I appreciate you, Mike, and I appreciate you looking out for me. But therein is that rub, man. But here I am on a podcast. If I wasn't, I didn't start my own podcast or look to, meet somebody like you or come on to do this until I was more than, willing and able. And, it's if for some reason I was, which by the way, I'm going to say this, I'm not being financially incentivized to do this. If I was, that could be problematic. Yeah, but that could be problematic for me, for my disability issues and my retraining. So, things you need to know, or things when you're, in the situation I'm in and stuff. And so for me, it's been a long learning process, and I had a lot of maybe more high speed and aggressive type introductions into it. But that was the big reason I left social media. Is I made an off-color post about some BS manufactured outrage. I hate fake outrage. I hate manufactured nonsense. Yeah, that means nothing. And you do it in 07 with a couple of whiskeys in you, and I didn't even mean to post it to the world. It's the only thing I ever sent out into the internet. And here I am, and I have to go testify in 2 weeks for a felony case coming up in Whatcom County that was from 2021, from before I got shot and before I even came back to work. So
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And I told him, bring that up and see what happens. Because you're going to get podcast bone. You're not going to get retired master sergeant, or you're not going to get deputy Rathbun. I'm not a cop. There's nothing anyone can do to me. And
the handcuffs are off at that point, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? And if there's a nursing supervisor that doesn't like me being a veteran, then fine, I don't need to work for him, or I don't need to work for that agency or hospital or whatever. I got options, man. And I got brothers and sisters. I got you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be all right. So therein is that. That's
it's a good point though. And I've got to say, as veterans, if there's anybody out there that has said some off-color things at any point in time, I'm going to say it's veterans. And I myself, I'm on a group chat with a couple of buddies that I served with, and there are some incredibly crazy things that we say on there to each other and about each other. That if it ever got out, man, people would flip out. I mean, and we all love each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what though? And we all grow and we all change. And what maybe you felt when you were in your, late teens and early 20s serving, or, when, between when you got out of the Corps and, now it's, we're all different people, and things in the 90s that were okay aren't 100% aren't.
And that's the big thing that people don't understand now, that, when in the 80s and stuff like that, when we were, I was a high school kid, and, it was nothing to call somebody gay or a queer, you fag.
Yeah.
And, really and truly and honestly, by definition of all those words, weren't bad, but by today's standards, I'm not saying they weren't bad then, but you know, it's like, how dare you?
Well, that comes into generationally, I think,
Well,
is
yeah, but I
our
mean, that's
generation.
how everybody looks at
That's
it.
how we
Now,
talked and how we
yeah,
communicated and how we said things.
you know,
Eh,
if people saw pictures or video or social media, and we've talked about this, Andrew, on the past
yeah,
multiple times in the past, that you
Mhm.
know, I mean, literally, you know, people showed up dressed in certain ways, and it's like, how dare you by today's standards? And it's like,
yeah,
really, we were all at a damn Halloween party. Everybody showed up. You know what I mean? It's like, really? But
Right?
you know, you want to hold that against people, and it's like, how
yeah,
dare you want to run, and you know, for political office, or you want to be this, and everything's used as an agenda, and that's
yeah.
the biggest issue.
Yeah.
I would say
No,
that's
that's what happened to me, man. I was doing
yeah,
too much good work, and someone, the perfect storm came up, and I said the perfect things in a defense interview, and it triggered somebody to look into this and that. And, nothing I did was, everything I've ever done is above reproach.
yeah,
So, dig in, like,
Yeah.
come at me. Yeah. If I lost some appeals court decisions and stuff, yeah, those are all because the laws changed and then it retrogrades.
yeah,
So, it was legal when I did it, and then it became illegal 6 months to a year later.
yeah,
Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So
That's
that's
the funny
fine.
thing is, you know, we've all got this weird sense of humor, and even my kids now, my son's notorious for it. My daughter does it too, but you know, like movie quotes, like you're talking about, like South Park,
yeah.
just just randomly, we'll be somewhere or on vacation all together or on a cruise, or we'll be somewhere, and my son will just say something, and I just look at him like, it's just like,
Time and place, time and place.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. And it's, maybe there were certain things when my kids were younger. I don't know, man. I don't know, honestly. My son's girlfriend. I don't know if you've ever met my son,
Oh,
No, not yet.
but he's got my sense of humor. My daughter does too, but it drives my wife crazy. But they'll literally say things just out of nowhere, and it's like, now, as an older gentleman, I'm a sophisticated man now. As an older gentleman at 51, my wife's in the background laughing. I'm
it's all
like,
right. I'm winking at you.
seriously? You would say that? And I'm like, really? What, Abby? Why would I?
Because they are your children.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are your children.
Yeah,
That's
it
true.
is. It's all generational, but it's funny that you stop and think about, what, I get now, and even my kids and my wife even says, I'm like, well, was that fair? I mean, do you really want to? My wife will look at me, it's like, years ago, you would have been the first one to have been. I'm like, yeah, but now, stop and think about it. It's like, as you get older, you get wiser, and you do think that.
Yep.
But deep down inside, I'm still like, it's like, but
Yeah, that doesn't go away.
I can't do that, but
Yeah. Well, hey, man, guys, thank you for having me on, man. I gotta punch out too now. I'm gonna.
Hey.
Yeah, it's all good. I need to close it out anyway. So, hey, Bone, thank you. Mike, thank you. If you need to take off, go ahead. I'm going to close it out. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need some help, anything like that, don't forget that the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Bone cares about you. Mike cares about you. Everybody else that was here that is gone cares about you. But please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need help, give them that helping hand. All right, guys, one last time, thank you very much. To all the listeners, stay motivated. Change your socks.